Hey folks, this is Mike from Maine Primitive Skills School. I want to share an evolutionary process with regards to shelter building. Behind me you've got your textbook tarp shelter. There's a lot wrong with this picture. We're looking at conduction, convection, radiation, respiration, and perspiration, the primary mechanics by which we lose our body temperature or our core temperature. This shelter, it may keep the rain off, and it's quick to set up, but other than that, we're making direct contact with the ground, conduction. There's not a lot of protection against the wind, convection, and our body heat is just being whisked away out the sides, radiation. So I want to share with you some simple concepts, and hopefully that'll help further your craft. This particular shelter, designed by Jim Kane, prevents radiation by keeping our body heat in a nice enclosed area, prevents conduction by lifting us off the ground, and also prevents convection by preventing the wind from whisking away our body heat using this tarp. In this fire-dependent shelter, we use a long fire and an upside-down or council fire arrangement so that we have a slow-burning body-length fire to radiate heat toward us and our shelter. The bed prevents conduction, the tarp prevents rain from falling on us, which would lower our body temperature, and the fire is needed because we don't have a lot of mechanics in this shelter design to trap our radiant body heat or to prevent the wind from whisking it away. The upside is that this is quick to build. The downside is that we have to maintain a fire throughout the night. A fire is like taking care of a child. It's always hungry, and if you don't keep your eye on it, it can get out of control quickly.
I'll get some bigger logs and kind of make like a frame, and then just take like small sticks, twigs, hemlock works really well, and just layer it on and get like a little kind of almost like a box spring layer, and that's gonna get the leaves that you're going to put on off the ground that much more, and then just pile leaves on.
There you go. So, is it as comfortable as your own bed? He's out.
Yeah, probably better actually.
When we move from emergent quick shelters to transition shelters, what we're doing is we're moving from a dependency on big box stores, tarps, knives, fire-making devices, and scavenging all of the fuel wood available in a landscape to a more gentle approach on the landscape and a more proactive mindset with building our shelters. The debris hut requires no fire, no rope, no knife, no modern tools whatsoever. What it does require is an awareness of your landscape and an understanding of how heat is retained by our body and lost by the elements.
So this is my debris hut, and I've been living in it for I think about a month now, and slowly just working on making it better. You can see here I have the skeleton, the frame for my workroom, and that's kind of been a work in progress, kind of chipping away at it. And the idea is, the debris hut's super nice, it's warm, but it's kind of like being in a tomb. Because summer's coming, I want to be able to, have more room, be able to stretch out a little bit. So I'm putting this workroom area on, and as you can see, as I've been working on it, I still have a tarp that I pull over at night, sleep with some blankets in my bed. But the idea is we're going to cover this over with debris and put a door to manage airflow down around the front. So hopefully bugs still won't be able to find their way in, but I'm not seeing heat management as too much of an issue since it'll be summertime. The idea of moving from a tarp to a debris hut to adding on a workroom area to a more long-term transition shelter to something like an earth lodge, a multi-generational shelter. I'm using the tarp right now because I don't have the debris to cover up to stay out of the rain just yet, but that's something I'm working toward. So just using what you have and having fun with it is important too.
Hi, I'm Colby from the Maine Primitive Skills School, and I'm sitting in a shelter that I've spent at least 2 years in now, and I built by myself with a little help from the community, and it's copied off of a traditional Passamaquoddy bush camp shelter with some modern modifications. It's made of fir poles, stripped fir poles, and it's on a ring of rocks. The native people used birch bark, big slabs of birch bark, to cover it, which we don't really have access to anymore, so we use rubber roofing. We also added a window. On top of the rubber roofing is hay and leaves as insulation, and eventually it will turn into a living roof. I also added a rocket stove that I constructed, which is a thermal mass heater, so it radiates its heat even when it's not lit, and keeps the shelter at a very comfortable temperature year-round. So this is another bush camp. It's a little bit larger, but has similar features as a rocket stove, the rubber roofing, the fir poles. This one has a floor made of boards that were all milled with the chainsaw mill here on the property. And it's a little more roomy. I can stand up in it, and it has a nice big bed platform that's elevated up, and some nice floor space. And it's got 2 windows.
In skills development, we have categories of shelter progression. Emergent shelters are designs that are dependent upon tarps, lines, and fires. These designs are easy to learn, quick to set up, and effective for 3 to 6 days. Firewood depletion and fatigue of gear and/or personnel make these shelters suitable for folks intending to return to civilization in a week or less. Transition shelters demand a greater initial energy investment and a higher level of skill to construct. They do not require a knife or rope and can keep you warm and comfortable to -20 degrees Fahrenheit without 8 to 12 hours is often required to build one's first effective design, but that can be trimmed to 4 to 6 hours by the 3rd or 4th build. Long-term shelters demand a solid understanding of thermodynamics, properties of materials, and organization of construction. These shelters normally require over 100 hours of time and energy to construct and will last over 100 years. Our edge, or the apex of our craft, is in multi-generational shelter building. Recognizing that we are hunter-gatherer nomadic as a species, the challenge is how do you build shelters that increase bounty and mutually beneficial relationships on the landscape? There's a lot to consider. Again, this is working our edge. We've adopted best practices from our ancestral wisdom, in this case the Earth Lodge based on the Cree and the Sami designs, and incorporated modern materials such as insulation and windows. There's a long way to go. We're reclaiming things that were lost over 500 years ago and combining them with forming edge technologies. So take our best ideas and steal them. Then share your best ideas with us. In this way, we can combine our best practices to create a better place than the one we found for those who will take it from us.